G'day everyone, this is Rangadad. This is not financial advice, it's just the way I am looking at the market today. If you get something out of it, great. If not, no worries. So, interesting. I'm gonna focus on Bitcoin at the moment. Basically, obviously there's not really much movement over the weekend for the rest of the markets, but I think even currencies don't trade either. Yeah, Bitcoin has had an interesting day. Might even start with the liquidation heat maps. Um, the reason why I say it's an interesting day is I was watching this all freaking day, hey, because we had the trades open. I had shorts, obviously. I still have shorts, but we had a massive chunk of large orders sitting up in this region, pretty much from that 68,000 up. And I flipped one of the trades bearish just here when this price action flushed quite quickly, as you can see on this volume here. The reason I did that, obviously that didn't work out so well, but the reason I did it was we actually tapped into some massive orders here and ran away from it. And what I've seen a couple of times is when we do that, if the orders start following you down, it means that they're like, well, what it has meant in the past was the price actions seem to keep going from that point. Just because these sellers in here start chasing price and the market overall tends to just keep going away from them. That's obviously not what happened. We did see them chase price, so these orders got dropped a little bit. Like those two orders there alone are over 1,000 Bitcoin, and you got another one there for another 500. That's massive orders compared to what we've had in the past, and it wasn't a hell of a lot above that, and we'd already taken so many on this run up. Obviously not as much as this here, but still, well, probably cumulatively you've already sold most of this stuff on the way up. But when we got to that point and turned away quite hard, it looked like we were coming down. Now, obviously at that point, it looks like a potential rollover, but the more this dragged out, like when we went back up there and rejected again, I thought, yeah, okay, that's interesting. And this one was the one where they really chased it. You're seeing here, they seem to be moving orders down with the market as it went. But regardless of that, when it rejected quite considerably, like that 15-minute close is quite bearish, that short was looking pretty reasonable, but then we just sort of meandered sideways, and that's when I started looking a bit deeper and went, fuck, I'm shorting a dull market, which if you've listened to this a few times, you'll probably know that one of my rules is don't short a dull market because you will get wrecked, especially on Bitcoin. But even on NASDAQ and Ethereum, which Bitcoin's trading more and more like them every day. sorry, NASDAQ and S&P 500, not Ethereum. So yeah, this is definitely a dull market. I think I added one short at this point, and then knowing that it was potentially still looking like going up into there. But at this point here too, we had a lot of long orders coming into the books, like some massive long orders in here, and it looked fairly thin up there. So as it turns out, obviously it ripped to the upside, and there wasn't a lot of short liquidation points as well at that stage. So it did surprise me that we'd got that last leg up. It hasn't surprised me that we're now coming down, but unfortunately, I think we are in a long at that point as well. Maybe this point here, just from the bot, got faked out. I probably could. No, I don't think I can switch it now. It's probably already closed. But anyway, it definitely looks exhausted there. As you can see, we got a pretty strong, like lots of green on this. But at the same time, we're very quickly turning into reds too, and this 7-day red has stayed quite red throughout. It was only there that we started to turn greenish, which was good confirmation that, yeah, it's probably going bearish. But the like that there, that's a very strong red candle. That's almost capitulation type red candle. Does it stop here, the move? I'd say not, no. I would be very surprised if we finish up there, but I won't be holding my shorts for too long. I'll probably take enough profit if we get another leg down. I'll take enough profit so that I'm ahead, and then I'll move my stop loss to break even and just let it ride and see what happens, see where it stops. But yeah, it was a very interesting day. Just a lot of orders were taken up in there. Wasn't a hell of a lot of liquidation. I think there was a little bit right at the peak here, but like comparative wise, on the liquidation heat map, it wasn't as big as what I've seen previously. So you can see a lot of orders coming in here. The order book's pretty full to the downside. So yeah, there's looking at this 66.9 wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, that's a big sell off just in this 15-minute candle here. So maybe a little bounce, suck in some more orders, and then see how we go. Partial fill on that one. See how the big 500 orders are starting to come down with it now? That's sort of suggesting that we might have a bit more downside left, but you know, it's overall this is a very bullish market, and apparently, and I'm trying to find a source that will show me this, and I haven't found one yet, but apparently there is dark pool liquidity or dark pool transactions on Bitcoin now, and I just need to find a way of seeing them. But apparently there was a big one somewhere in this region, I believe. And generally when you're getting dark pool activity at the top or bottom of a run, then it's a sign of reversal. So just bring this chart back up. Today's close is going to be interesting. Just based on what we're seeing at the moment, we're still in the bullish control zone on stochastic momentum. this is still sort of trending up on the smart money indicator that we've got. Decent drop in global liquidity at the moment, which is interesting as well, but just keep an eye on that. So rejecting of this trend line, which we've had in there for a little bit now, it's a fairly strong one. We do need to see a close above that. But it wouldn't surprise me if we sort of get a retest around this 66.8, even back into that 65-ish, 65.5 level, especially if we reject here. It would not surprise me. Now, I know Trump's supposed to be speaking today, I think, Bitcoin conference. That could move the market a little bit. It could be what's doing it now. I don't know. Probably around that time. But yeah, that's something to keep in mind. So, what looking at this, what I think is likely, I think we just do a sweep maybe into here and then close back above that trend line. That wouldn't surprise me at all with Bitcoin the way it's going. So if we look at the 15-minute chart, just turn that off for a sec. So there was a pretty strong trend line. This is why you shouldn't trade on your phone, because it's harder to see these things, but fairly strong sort of trend line through here. Obviously it's hit it there. It's pretty much hitting it all the way up. We have broken below that now. It depends on where you look at this. That would look like a pretty pretty strong retest and rejection of that trend line, which, you know, is basically what we're seeing now. Whether that is enough, yeah, that'd be right. Fucking took a short at the low again. I definitely got to create the new bot that I'm looking at. Hopefully I'll have time, probably next few weeks. Still a breakout bot, but just different rules around when it breaks out. That I think will be just up the certainty a little bit. Yeah, so basically this is obviously a fair reversal of a trend, but we're going to have a lot of key levels on the way down. So there's not a lot of like massive vector candles that haven't been recovered. In fact, we've recovered most of them along the way. There's a little wick here at 66,860 roughly. And then it's not until you start getting into that 66,500 sort of region and below that there's significant vector candles. And vector candles are basically just where there's some liquidity trapped. Or available at least. So 65's probably, I would expect that to be pretty close to the minimum. Again, closing below that 64 level on the daily, I'd start to get a little bit worried, but we're a long way from that at the moment. So overall, the trend is still bullish, I would say. Even if Bitcoin closes with a wick like that, Bitcoin does normally like to just go back up and retest them. Not all the time, but I don't look at candlesticks the same way with Bitcoin as what I do with normal stocks. Yeah, obviously that's a bullish hammer there, but that was a bullish hammer there as well, and it retraced. So when you're dealing shorter time frames, it's candlesticks on the larger time frames they don't necessarily play out that well with Bitcoin. So anyway, yeah, key levels here from the way I'm looking at it. I just have turn this on. Yeah, we're well above the pi cycle indicator. We might come back down into this level just to coil a bit, retest these key levels. It is a pretty key week of earnings in the US as well. There's a lot of market cap that's got their earnings reporting this week, so could be quite volatile. And that could lead us to sort of a bit more chop before we actually calm down and find a general trend. So like S&P 500, yeah, it's turned a bit. Again, still not expecting this to be a massive dump, but sorry, it might not be done yet. So just beware of that. It still has the potential to sort of come down and maybe go to the full 10%, somewhere down in the low 5,000s, which could have an effect on Bitcoin. I think it would be overall bullish though, still. Like the fact that you've got IWM is still strong. It's holding above this range that it's broken out of, which is a massive range. And it was a massive range for quite a while and into this range too. So overall, things are still looking strong, but whether we get a bit more chop into some of these key levels, I think NASDAQ could be done, but again, wouldn't surprise me if we chop around, go sideways a little bit. Bit of a fake out to the downside. Fair bit of dark pool liquidity buying up this dip. So, well, it looks like it's buying it up anyway. It's hard to tell with dark pool. So yeah, that's pretty much how I'm looking at things. Bitcoin is tricky. Just needs, like, the amount of short orders that it has soaked up in this wick as well. Kind of, we did have a vector candle, basically a wick recovery there as well. Interesting. Yeah, the amount of orders that have been soaked up, it wouldn't surprise me if it needed a bit of a rest and just pull back a little bit before potentially into this high volume area as well, into that 67 at least. Just pull back, have a rest, find some support, build some longs, and then move to the upside. What the market needs to do is start freaking out that it's not going to happen. And at the moment, everyone is bullish too, so you got to get a little bit worried when everyone's going mega bullish. So yeah, short term, looking like it needs to have a pullback, but pretty strong overall. If we do get a dip, I think I'll be looking for a good turnaround point to start loading up on the longs, because I'm like looking at this again. There's still not a lot of long orders that are coming into this. There were, and look, I guess there are in the 15-minute shows them a bit better, but they're not massive. So I don't expect it to come down too far. The other thing is the liquidation heat map. So obviously we've tapped into this key zone in here. Some levels that have been in place since well over a month, about 6 weeks, nearly. We do have some chunks of liquidity left that it might want to come into, but it definitely doesn't have to. There is obviously this up here, up to around the 73K mark, and that does also coincide with this chunk here as well. So obviously you'd expect them to be pretty similar levels. So push up to there, we may find some resistance there, but it also will depend a hell of a lot on just the money flow that is coming in at the time. So like, is everyone FOMOing in? If everyone's FOMOing in, if there's a lot of liquidations at that level, we could actually rip through and we could hit that 75, 78K. Once we get through there, 80K is going to come into play pretty quick. And then if we're going to new all-time highs, I'd expect the next push to really be the start of the actual full bull run final push. I'd be surprised if we get a full fake out again, just based on how strong this run up has been compared to previous ones. Yeah, that's come down to shorter time frames. So took a lot there. There is a chunk here at 66,600. Yeah, so we do try and take a lot of that. That's still an interesting level for me. I think it is going to depend a hell of a lot on the overall stock market. As you can see, shorter time frames have started to build a little bit of short liquidity in here, but it looks hungry for this one. We'll see. See how shorter time frames. I'll definitely be taking a fair chunk of profit, probably a bit before that, but could let it come all the way in there if I really wanted to. 25 12 hour. 12 hours wicked into that. I would expect easily to come into here relatively soon. But plenty of people went short after that top there, so see how it goes. I mean, this sort of run down, can we bounce back up? Yeah, but I'd be very surprised if we didn't take a chunk of this. Okay, so we may have found a short-term top, but see, even this is getting bought up quite heavily. Yeah, taking a lot of these big orders just below it. Probably just back to candle recoveries and then pushes further down. Just depends how hard people want to buy the dip, I guess. Interestingly, Sunday is normally quite a bullish day too, so be watching for it to find whatever level it's going to find in the next 4 hours or so, and then potentially run up. But those daily stats are a little hit and miss. The percentages aren't huge. Shorter time frames are better for picking that sort of direction. All right, that'll do. Have a good one.